Age doesn't dim the fire of love, it simply changes how it burns. By the time a man enters his 50s, 60s, or even 70s, he's survived heartbreaks, triumphs, lessons, and hopefully gained wisdom. But here's what many older men fail to realize: relationships don't get easier, they get deeper. And with depth comes complexity. Some men resign themselves to isolation after a divorce or the loss of a partner. Others jump into new romances without understanding the emotional terrain of mature love. This video isn't about tricks, hacks, or manipulation. It's about real emotional strategy, wisdom, and self-awareness, the true secrets that make relationships last. Hit the subscribe button, share and comment to always get wisdom. If you're an older man wondering how to love better, attract smarter, communicate deeper, and leave a legacy of affection, not regret, then this is for you. Why this video? Because too many men suffer in silence. They don't ask for advice, and they think the best years are behind them. That's a lie. Your relationships can be richer now than ever before, if you understand the new rules of the emotional game. 1. Emotional intelligence is more powerful than youth. For decades, men have been raised to believe that strength, success, and stoicism are the keys to being desirable and respected. While those traits may have helped in building careers or commanding authority, when it comes to relationships, especially later in life, emotional intelligence, EQ, surpasses brute strength or youthful charm by miles. Understanding emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and influence your own emotions and those of others. It's not about suppressing your feelings, but rather being aware of them and using that awareness to guide your behavior and relationships. The 5 core elements of emotional intelligence are: self-awareness, knowing your emotional triggers and patterns. Self-regulation, managing your emotions in healthy ways. Motivation, being driven by values and inner goals, not external validation. Empathy, understanding what others feel without needing it spelled out. Social skills, navigating interactions, listening, and communicating effectively. In your younger years, you might have gotten by on looks, wealth, or status. But as we age, partners, especially women, crave emotional presence. They want someone who listens deeply, responds compassionately, and shares vulnerabilities honestly. Why it matters more now. At this stage in life, most people are tired of games. Emotional wounds from past relationships may linger. Partners may have children, exes, financial complications, or medical concerns. The emotional landscape is no longer simple, and being emotionally intelligent becomes the most attractive quality you can develop. A man who can sit through a hard conversation without shutting down, blaming, or exploding is rare and valuable. A man who can apologize sincerely, express love without manipulation, and remain calm in conflict becomes a pillar of emotional safety. That kind of man wins hearts that stay. Practical ways to grow emotional intelligence. Practice mindfulness. Take 5 to 10 minutes daily to reflect on how you feel and why. Journal honestly. Track your emotions during conflicts or misunderstandings. Read books or listen to podcasts on empathy and relationships. Ask trusted friends or partners for feedback. How do they experience you emotionally? Learn to pause before reacting. This moment of reflection can prevent escalation. Real-life example. Kenneth, 62, was divorced twice and skeptical about love. When he began dating a woman 10 years younger, things felt promising, until she started pulling away. Instead of blaming her, Kenneth asked her what she needed emotionally. Her answer: "I need someone who listens without turning everything into a solution." Kenneth began practicing just that. Over time, their connection deepened. She described him as the first man who made her feel truly heard. His emotional maturity became the bridge that youth or charm never could have built. Emotional intelligence is not a feminine trait or a sign of weakness, it's the hallmark of evolved masculinity. In your older years, it's your superpower. It's the one thing that, once mastered, enhances every conversation, deepens every connection, and opens the door to meaningful, lasting relationships. 2. Communication. What you didn't learn in your 30s. Many men believe they're good communicators because they can express opinions, hold conversations, or dominate a room. But communication in relationships is far more than that. It's the art of connection, vulnerability, and clarity. And if you're over 50, chances are you've realized that your way of communicating in your 30s wasn't always effective, especially with romantic partners. Why communication is the bedrock of connection. At its core, communication is about creating mutual understanding. Not about winning. Not about being right. Not about fixing every issue immediately. It's about being heard and making the other person feel seen. Unfortunately, many men were raised in environments where emotional expression was dismissed. Man up, don't cry, or be strong were the rules of engagement. As a result, they learned to bottle emotions, dismiss their partner's feelings, or resort to anger when misunderstood. As an older man, you have a second chance. You can unlearn and relearn. And you must. The difference between talking and communicating. Talking is about expressing. Communicating is about connecting. You might say, I told her how I felt. But did you pause to ask how she felt? Did you truly listen to her response? Did you maintain eye contact, stay calm, and validate her feelings? Or did you become defensive, distracted, or dismissive? True communication involves active listening, not waiting for your turn to speak, but truly absorbing what the other person says. Validation, letting your partner know their feelings are legitimate, even if you don't agree. Nonverbal cues, eye contact, tone, and body language matter. Asking clarifying questions, can you help me understand what you mean, is more powerful than assuming. Common communication pitfalls for older men. Fixing instead of feeling, you try to solve her problems instead of acknowledging her emotions. Interrupting or dominating, you speak over her or rush the conversation. Withdrawing emotionally. You shut down when things get tense. Making it about yourself, you turn every conversation into your story. Avoiding vulnerability, you fear being seen as weak. Strategies to become a better communicator. Use I statements, I feel hurt when I'm ignored, instead of, you always ignore me. Practice reflective listening, what I hear you saying is, helps confirm understanding. Be curious, not combative, replace, why would you say that, with, tell me more about how you feel. Give her your full attention, put the phone down. Turn off the TV. Be present. Take responsibility, even if you're only 10% wrong, own it. Accountability is attractive. Real-life example. Derek, 58, had a pattern of failed relationships. When he entered therapy, he realized he often cut his partners off mid-sentence. He believed his insights were helpful, but they felt like interruptions. Once he began practicing active listening, literally timing himself to stay silent. His partner told him, for the first time, I feel safe talking to you. Communication isn't about changing what you say, it's about changing how you relate. As an older man, the power to heal, build, and sustain love begins with your ability to communicate with compassion and clarity. 3. The art of listening without fixing. One of the most frustrating things a partner can experience is when she shares a vulnerable emotion, and the response she gets is a solution instead of sympathy. For many older men, especially those conditioned to solve problems and take charge, this tendency is hardwired. But in relationships, especially emotional ones, fixing is not the same as supporting. Why fixing doesn't work? Imagine your partner says, I've been feeling overwhelmed lately. The typical response? You should quit that job, or maybe start waking up earlier. Though well-intentioned, these responses often shut down emotional connection. She wasn't asking for answers, she was asking to be heard, understood, and supported. Fixing bypasses that need. It can even feel dismissive, as though her feelings are a problem to eliminate rather than a reality to experience together. The real power of listening. Listening without fixing communicates something profound. I respect your feelings, and I'm strong enough to sit with them. It says, I don't need to control your pain. I'm just here, with you, in it. This kind of listening builds trust, emotional intimacy, and deepens the sense of safety in the relationship. How to listen without fixing. Pause before you respond. Instead of jumping to advice, say, that sounds really hard. Tell me more. Stay present, don't plan your response while she's talking. Focus fully. Use reflective language, it sounds like you're feeling, or, I hear you saying. Resist the urge to give solutions. Even if you think you have the answer, hold it back unless she asks. Ask what she needs, a powerful question. Would you like me to just listen, or do you want advice? Practicing emotional endurance. Many men have a hard time holding space for emotions, especially ones they can't control. But emotional endurance is like a muscle. The more you practice staying in the uncomfortable moments, the stronger you become. It also helps to remember, your presence is often the solution. Real-life example. Frank, 65, often found himself giving financial advice to his girlfriend whenever she expressed stress. One day she snapped, I don't need a financial advisor, I need a partner. That hit him hard. He apologized and began practicing reflective listening. He started saying things like, that sounds overwhelming. I'm here with you. Over time, their emotional connection flourished. 4. How physical intimacy evolves with age. For many men, physical intimacy has long been equated with performance, stamina, and frequency. But with age, our bodies change, and so does the meaning of intimacy. What once was a physical act becomes something far deeper, emotional closeness, tenderness, and mutual presence. Redefining intimacy. Sex in your 20s might have been about excitement or conquest. In your 40s, it might have been about connection and stress relief. But in your 50s, 60s, and beyond, intimacy becomes about emotional union, about truly seeing and being seen. It's no longer about proving something. It's about experiencing something meaningful, together. Addressing the physical changes. Let's be honest, bodies change. Erections may not be as reliable. Recovery time lengthens. Desire may fluctuate. These are not failures, they are facts of life. What matters is how you respond. Shame, denial, or silence can damage your relationship. But honesty, creativity, and emotional connection can elevate it. Consider these. Talk openly about changes, vulnerability is sexy. Let your partner know what you're experiencing. Prioritize foreplay, it's not just the warm-up, it is the experience. Explore new forms of touch, intimacy includes cuddling, massage, eye contact, and emotional disclosure. Consult a doctor when needed, there's no shame in seeking medical advice or using tools that support your intimacy. The role of emotional safety. Emotional safety is now the biggest aphrodisiac. A partner who feels emotionally secure, heard, and valued is far more likely to desire physical closeness. It's not about impressing her, it's about connecting with her heart. Your ability to be patient, present, and non-judgmental fosters the trust that makes her feel safe in your arms. Intimacy starts outside the bedroom, through kindness, attentiveness, and shared laughter. Real-life example. Michael, 68, felt embarrassed when his libido decreased. Instead of hiding it, he talked with his partner. She surprised him by saying, I don't miss what we used to do, I love how connected I feel now. They began exploring slower, more sensual experiences, focusing on pleasure instead of performance. Their intimacy grew richer than ever. Making intimacy a daily practice. Intimacy isn't limited to sex. It's in the small gestures. A lingering hug in the kitchen. A hand resting on hers while watching TV. A deep, honest compliment. A shared secret or memory. These daily acts keep your bond alive and nourish your romantic connection. 5. Why vulnerability is the secret strength most old men ignore. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many men confuse it with weakness or fear that it undermines their authority. In reality, vulnerability is emotional courage, the willingness to be seen, known, and felt in your full, authentic self. And in your later years, it becomes one of your greatest relationship assets. Why vulnerability feels risky. Most men were never taught how to be emotionally open. You might have been told to tough it out or keep it together. You may have learned that showing emotion equals loss of control. But in relationships, those very walls become the barriers to connection. The truth is, you cannot be loved fully if you're not seen fully. And to be seen, you have to let your guard down. What vulnerability looks like in real life. Admitting you're afraid to lose someone you love. Expressing uncertainty instead of pretending to have all the answers. Sharing your mistakes without defensiveness. Saying, "I need you," or "that hurt me." These aren't signs of weakness. They're invitations to deeper intimacy. The benefits of vulnerability. Builds trust. When you open up, you encourage your partner to do the same. Deepens connection. Emotional exposure is what turns companionship into true partnership. Reduces shame. Speaking your truth out loud lessens the power of fear and guilt. Strengthens self-awareness. Being honest with others makes you more honest with yourself. Overcoming the fear of vulnerability. It's okay to feel uneasy. Start small. Share a personal story from your past that shaped you. Admit when you don't have it all together. Tell your partner when something hurt your feelings. Practice makes it more natural. And the rewards are enormous. Real-life example. James, 72, spent years hiding his emotions, fearing judgment. After his second marriage ended, he began working with a therapist and learned to open up. On a first date, he told a woman, "I've been lonely, and I'm scared I won't find real connection again." Instead of recoiling, she leaned in and said, "Thank you for being honest. That's the kind of courage I've been looking for." They've been together ever since. 6. The importance of boundaries, and why saying no can be the most loving thing you do. Many older men pride themselves on being providers, protectors, and peacemakers. But in the name of keeping the peace, they often sacrifice their own well-being. They say yes when they want to say no, tolerate emotional overreach, or allow unhealthy behaviors to continue unchecked. This isn't generosity, it's neglect. And it erodes the foundation of a healthy relationship. What are boundaries, really? Boundaries are not walls, they're bridges. They tell others where you end and they begin. Healthy boundaries are about self-respect and mutual respect. They create safety, not distance. Clarity, not conflict. Why boundaries are critical in later years. As you get older, your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth become even more valuable. You've earned the right to protect your peace. You don't need to explain or justify every decision to everyone. Boundaries help you preserve your emotional and physical health. Clarify expectations in your relationships. Build respect through self-respect. Prevent resentment from accumulating. Examples of loving boundaries. I'm not available to talk right now, but I'd love to connect tomorrow. Please don't raise your voice. I'm willing to listen when we're both calm. I'm not comfortable lending money right now. I need some alone time to recharge. These statements are not selfish, they're healthy. They teach people how to treat you. They show that you value yourself, and that you expect others to value you too. The guilt trap. One of the biggest challenges older men face when setting boundaries is guilt. You may feel like you're letting someone down. But ask yourself, who gets hurt when you constantly say yes out of guilt? Often, it's you. And eventually, it's the relationship. Boundaries are how you keep your love sustainable. They're the oxygen mask you put on yourself before helping others. Real-life example. Robert, 66, used to say yes to every favor his adult children asked, babysitting, loans, errands, despite being exhausted. After suffering a minor health scare, he started saying no, kindly but firmly. To his surprise, his family didn't resent him. They respected him more. 7. How to be emotionally available for a strong, lasting partnership. Emotional availability is not about grand romantic gestures or sweeping words. It's about consistency, presence, and emotional honesty. Many men struggle with being emotionally available because they've never been taught how. But in your later years, learning this skill can transform your relationships, especially the one with your partner. What emotional availability looks like. Being willing to feel your emotions instead of avoiding them. Sharing your thoughts and feelings in real time. Making space for your partner's emotions without shutting down. Expressing love, appreciation, and empathy consistently. Emotional availability says, I'm here with you, not just physically, but emotionally too. The barriers to availability. For many men, the barriers are rooted in old habits. Fear of rejection, you worry that showing emotion will push others away. Fear of looking weak, vulnerability feels unsafe. Lack of practice. You were taught to bottle things up, not let them out. Disconnection from self, you may not even know how you feel. Relearning emotional fluency. Being emotionally available begins with emotional literacy. Name your feelings. Are you sad, angry, lonely, ashamed, disappointed, grateful? Accept them without judgment. You're not bad for feeling fear or sadness. Express them appropriately. Use I feel statements to avoid blame. Make room for your partner's feelings too. Don't interrupt, dismiss, or try to fix. How to practice emotional presence. Put the phone down. Give your partner your full attention. Ask open questions. How are you feeling about that? Offer reassurance. Let her know she's safe sharing her emotions with you. Check in regularly. Emotional connection doesn't happen by accident, it happens through intentional contact. Real-life example. Alfred, 70, realized he had never once asked his wife how she was really doing emotionally. After reading a book on emotional intelligence, he began asking simple, heartfelt questions. How are you, really? To his surprise, it opened a new world of closeness. She said, this is the man I've been waiting to meet for years. The gift of emotional maturity. When you show up emotionally, you create the foundation for a deeply fulfilling relationship. Your partner feels safe, seen, and valued. You become more than just a provider or a presence, you become a true partner. 8. Why healing from past relationships is essential before truly connecting in the present. You can't build something lasting on a foundation that hasn't been repaired. Unhealed wounds from past relationships, whether romantic, familial, or even platonic, can silently sabotage your current or future connection. And the older you get, the more important it becomes to face the emotional weight you've been carrying. Recognizing emotional residue. Unhealed pasts leave traces. You overreact to small issues. You fear abandonment or betrayal without cause. You compare your current partner to a past one. You shut down emotionally to avoid being hurt again. These reactions aren't flaws. They're signals that something inside still needs healing. The cost of avoidance. Men who bury their emotional pain often suffer in silence. This pain leaks out in the form of sarcasm, withdrawal, coldness, or even health issues. Left unchecked, it becomes a wall between you and intimacy. Healing is not about dwelling in the past. It's about freeing your future. Steps toward emotional healing. Acknowledge what happened. Name the relationship that left a mark. Feel what you avoided. Let yourself grieve, even if it happened years ago. Learn the lessons. What patterns do you want to stop repeating? Forgive, even if they're not sorry. Forgiveness frees you, not them. Seek support. A therapist, counselor, or wise friend can help guide the process. Real-life example. Malik, 68, carried deep resentment after a painful divorce in his 40s. Every relationship since had felt half-hearted and guarded. After joining a men's group and finally expressing his pain, something shifted. I didn't realize how much of me was still stuck in 1989, he said. Now, I can actually be present with someone new, with my whole heart. The freedom of a clear heart. Healing clears emotional space. It allows you to be present without projection. Love without fear. Accept love without suspicion. You deserve a relationship that's built on trust, not trauma. And so does your partner. 9. How laughter, lightness, and play keep love alive at any age. Many people associate aging with seriousness, responsibility, and routine. But one of the best-kept secrets to a thriving relationship, especially in later life, is embracing joy. Laughter and play don't just make love feel good, they keep it alive. Why playfulness matters. Laughter reduces stress, boosts mood, and builds emotional intimacy. In a relationship, it increases bonding and chemistry, eases tension during conflict, builds shared memories and traditions, creates a buffer against boredom or emotional stagnation. Letting go of the too old myth. You are never too old to make silly jokes, dance in the kitchen, play card games or board games, plan surprise dates or spontaneous road trips. Flirt with your partner like it's the first time. Play is not childish, it's a form of intimacy. And it's often what keeps couples from drifting into emotional distance. Creating space for lightness. Laugh at yourself. Self-deprecating humor shows humility and ease. Find shared humor. Watch funny shows or comedians you both enjoy. Play together. Whether it's pickleball, karaoke, or a cooking challenge, make space for fun. Tell stories. Share the embarrassing, the funny, the bizarre from your past.